Right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We are providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you do not have a private attorney and wish to utilize their services. If you are on the Zoom call with me, we're happy to have you here today. Please conduct yourselves as if you're actually in a courtroom with me, which means please don't be moving around or doing other business while court is going on this afternoon. Let's see, who do we have first?
Your Honor, first is going to be position number 5, Mr. Kyle Casera, and he has private counsel.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Casera. Good afternoon, counsel. Mr. Casera, you've been charged in case 24 CR 006192E with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
No, Your Honor. First arrest, recommendation from pretrial as a UJR jail.
Okay, very good. Who's presenting for the state?
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon.
Your Honor, this incident took place August 31st, 2024. Officers were dispatched to 425 Belmont Drive in Alpharetta regarding a domestic dispute. The reporting party in this case is the defendant's girlfriend's mother, Lisa Updike. She called the police and told 911 that her daughter's boyfriend pushed her to the ground and she suffered a busted lip. Upon arrival to the incident location, officers made contact with the victim, Noelle Updike. She told the police that the parties lived together. There was an argument over her birthday cake. She was upset because she had to buy her own birthday cake, and the defendant apparently ate a piece of it or something like that. And she told the police that she threw the cake at him, and then the defendant rushed her and pushed her down, resulting in a busted lip. The victim did have a bleeding lip and was covered in cake icing, indicating there was some kind of struggle over this birthday cake. The mother told the police, they called the mother after she called 911, and she told them that the daughter called her crying about unmet birthday expectations and said that the defendant pushed her down. The officers then spoke to the defendant, who stated that the girlfriend was upset because he didn't get her anything for her birthday. They were arguing and he pushed her and she tripped over something and bit her lip. We have been in touch with Ms. Updike today. She states that the parties have been together for 5 years. They've lived together. Less than that, they reside together at the incident location at this time. She said that they've had a couple arguments that have never been physical. This is the first time. She states she's not afraid of the defendant and feels safe with him. She states everything is true in the warrant, except when the defendant pushed her, she did trip over a shoe and fell and caused her to bite her lip. She states it was a misunderstanding. She would like to continue contact and return to the residence. Judge, this is this defendant's first arrest. The state's requesting an SOB through pretrial, no further violent contact with Ms. Updike, anger awareness courses, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And I believe Ms. Updike's on the line. Thank you.
Ms. Updike, I see you there. If you wish to address the court, you don't have to, but if you wish to address the court, I'll need you to unmute yourself, and I'll have to swear you in.
Hello, Your Honor.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Updike. Raise your right hand for me, please, ma'am.
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
I just wanted to say, like, in addition to what I said earlier today, I feel very safe with Kyle, and I want him to come back and live with me. And they're just the same things I've been saying. There has been no violence or anything before, ever.
You're not afraid of him?
No, sir.
And you like him back in the household?
I would, yes, sir.
All right, very good. Thank you for being here this afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Yes, counsel.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Robert Wilson on behalf of Mr. Casara. I'll just jump straight into all the factors here. Mr. Casara is not at all a risk to flee. He lives in Alpharetta. He's just 3 months into a 12-month lease with Miss Updike. He graduated high school from Loganville High School, and then he went on to UGA, got through there in 4 years. His family is all in the Atlanta area, parents, grandparents, his fiance. He works in Alpharetta at Markel, which is like an insurance risk management company. He is a loss assessor there. He's not a danger to the community at all. His only prior arrest was for reckless driving, which eventually was reduced down just to a super speeder. As the ASG stated, there is no history of violence, no fights in high school. He's not a violent person at all. Similarly, he's not a risk to commit another crime. This incident is strictly an aberration in his character. And finally, he's not at risk at all to intimidate any witnesses. Ms. Updike has now been interviewed twice, once by police and once by the Solicitor General's office. I'm assuming that's some kind of victim advocate or something, but her story's pretty locked in at this point. She's made 2 statements, so I don't believe he's at risk at all to intimidate her. So we would just ask for a signature bond and for the bond conditions to just be no violent contact with Ms. Updike.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Updike, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Casella.
Thank you, Your
You're
Honor.
welcome, Ms. Updike. You're welcome, sir. And Norris, I see that we have the interpreter on the line, Miss Chansey. So just so that if you hadn't already made note of that, she's with us.
Yes, Your Honor, all the Spanish speaking defendants have been interviewed already. They just
Okay.
need, they just need her to conduct the report.
Okay.
So now I'll go to
Thank you.
position number 11, Ms. Glenn.
Good afternoon. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006188F with battery family violence. Is there a history?
No, sir.
No, Your Honor. First to raise, the recommendation from pretrial is a UJR jail.
Desiana?
Yes, this is position 11, right?
Yes.
Thank you. This incident took place September 1st, 2024. Officers responded to a dispute at 128 Autumn Ridge Trail. The victim in this case is Zevny Palmer. She stated that she and her girlfriend were arguing. She found out that the defendant was having relations with other women. She told her via phone that she would have her things outside and told her she didn't want to be with her anymore. The defendant came home and saw that her things were outside, and upon making entry to the residence, grabbed the victim by the neck and applied pressure. Our office has done a strangulation assessment of the victim. It's been determined that her airway was not obstructed, and she did not feel like she was going to lose consciousness, but did say the defendant's grip was about a 5 out of 10. The victim did have marks and scratches on her neck, Your Honor. We have been in touch with Ms. Palmer today. She states that the victim and she and the defendant have been together for about 2 years. They reside together at the incident location. She stated that there is a domestic violence history between them that has been physical. This is the first time that she's ever called the police. She states that she is in fear of the defendant sometimes. She confirmed the events in the warrant and states she would like a no contact, a stay away, and the defendant will need a one-time police escort. Your Honor, the state's requesting a $2,500 good bond, no contact with Ms. Palmer, stay away from the residence, anger management courses, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond, and if the court can sound for Ms. Palmer.
If Ms. Palmer's on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Good afternoon, Mr. Trejo. Is this your case?
It is, Judge. Thank you. Judge, we would ask for UJR bond in this circumstance. Judge, my client does not have any prior arrests. My client has never been accused of domestic violence or anything else similar. My client has a master's in health administration from UCLA. She's lived in Atlanta her whole life and left to get her degree and came back and works as in healthcare administration with a clinical dermatology firm. She had been living with her ex, but they are no longer in a relationship. They're actually in the process of no longer living together. This was an argument that resulted from an argument with a third party, where the alleged victim in this case and the third party are the ones having the physical dispute, and then my client was in the process of breaking it up, and the situation escalated from there, where she indicated to me that she was the one who was also being attacked. For those reasons, Judge, we don't believe that my client is a flight risk. We don't believe that my client is a risk to the community or to any of the other parties. And we would ask for UJR at this time.
Okay,
Your
it'll be
Honor,
a-
briefly, this is a restricted charge.
Understand.
You can't receive a UJR. And secondly, the basis for a surety bond recommendation is that she grabbed this person around the neck and applied pressure. It's an aggravated assault, Your Honor. And I understand the DA's office has its rules about not taking cases, but it is an aggravated assault strangulation case. And I understand it's being charged as a misdemeanor. Secondly, there's absolutely nothing in the warrant that suggests that there was another party there or any other person that she would be defending from.
Okay, this is Ms. Glenn's first arrest, and it is charged as a battery family violence. As such, it's a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ms. Palmer. Stay away from the Autumn Ridge Trail address. You can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that she might have there. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Glenn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, Your Honor, we're gonna go to position number 18, Ms. Lurie.
Good afternoon, Ms. Laurie. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006197A with criminal trespass. Is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor. Defendant has history out of Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina. Last arrest was April 6, 2024, out of Woodstock, Georgia, for theft of services. That was a conviction, Your Honor. Out of South Carolina, there's a 2015 conviction for public disorder conduct. Out of Florida, a 2010 conviction for burglary, 2022 criminal trespass. Appears to be a FTA hold out of South Carolina, a hold out of Pennsylvania for fraud, a 2013 simple battery conviction, at least 2 probation violations in the history, and an additional open case out of Fulton County for loitering prowling. Case number 24 PI 000891. Recommendation from pretrial, Your Honor, is a level 3 and nothing further.
Your Honor, that's my case. This happened on the 31st of August at about 6:45 a.m. This took place at the IHOP at 10686 Alpharetta Highway in Roswell. Police were called when the defendant was on scene at the location and was coming into the location asking customers for money, asking them for food, asking them for cigarettes. She'd been asked to leave multiple times and refused to leave. When police got to the location, she also refused to leave when they asked her to leave. She's got multiple violent convictions, Your Honor, and arrests out of multiple states. We're asking for a $1,000 surety bond and to be ordered to stay away from the location and have no contact with anyone there, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. She did just plead guilty during SAP here in February 2024 to another loitering kind of situation.
Stop lying on me.
Thank you.
Please.
That's my case, Judge.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Judge. Your Honor, my client is 34 years of age. She reports to me that she was working at Walmart. She does have 5 dependents, 5 children. I would ask the court to follow the pretrial's recommendation as far as level 3, Judge. She's clearly indigent.
Okay, it'll be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. Stay away from the IHOP on Alpharetta Highway. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. I'm gonna let you out, Miss Laurie, but if you don't show back up for your next hearing, they're gonna put a warrant out for you. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Your Honor, can we go to ACDC for Maureen McLeod's client?
Okay, yes. And what number is that? Do we know, Norris?
Yes, position number. I'm sorry, sorry, Your Honor.
It's
You're
Ms.
fine.
Evans.
Miss Evans,
Miss Priscilla Evans?
yes, Your Honor.
That's position number 8. Good afternoon, Ms. Evans. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006186A with battery. Is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor. 16 cycles. Last arrest July 2nd, 2023 for a probation violation out of Greene County. On probation out of Greene County for aggravated assault, burglary, and 3 counts of cruelty to children in 3rd degree. sentenced January 26, 2015, 10 years confinement and 15 years probation. Also has convictions from 2001 for aggravated assault, 2001 for aggravated battery, 2003 disorderly conduct, 2005 criminal interference with government property, additional aggravated assault convictions from 2014 as well as 2015, burglary from 2015, 2023 false report of a crime. Recommendation from pretrial, Your Honor, is a level 2. Nothing further.
Your Honor, this incident took place August 31st, about 5 a.m. Officers were dispatched to the homeless encampment that's near 12 Atlanta. The victim in this case is Angel Sellers. She's a resident of that encampment, residentially challenged. She lives in a tent near the incident location. She told police that two guys known to her as Flip and Green brought the defendant to her tent. The defendant was ranting about someone attempting to kill her. And she told the victim that they're trying to kill me and I'm taking you with me, and then grabbed her in a bear hug so tight that she feared for her safety, and then took the victim to the ground, bit her on her right shoulder so hard that it caused an open wound. Additionally, while she was pinned to the ground, the victim was trying to escape, and the friction from her body on the ground and being pinned down caused a palm-sized abrasion on the victim's right hip. EMS arrived and noted the defendant was acting strangely, making delusional statements, and she did admit to ingesting crack cocaine. We have not been in touch with Ms. Sellers today. Your Honor, this individual is a danger to the community. Her criminal history speaks for itself, frankly. She's on probation for aggravated assault. Right now, the state's requesting a $2,500 surety bond, no contact with Ms. Sellers, a stay away from the incident location, a BH or an MHET, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. And if the court can sound for Ms. Sellers, thank you.
Ms. Sellers is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Afternoon, Ms. McLeod.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My client is 42 years old. She tells me that she is employed at the moment, but she does not make a lot of money. She is not in a position to post bond, Your Honor, so I would ask the court to consider giving her a signature bond through pretrial. I believe the recommendation by pretrial was a level 2 pretrial bond. If the court would consider that, we would be fine with that, Your Honor. My client tells me that she doesn't know this person, and she alleges that this person attacked her. She tells me that she has bruises and injuries to her body as well, Your Honor. So I think when the facts all come out, it may be a bit different from what the warrant states. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, it's going to be $1,000 good bond, no further contact with Ms. Sellers. Stay away from that encampment at 12 Atlanta Street. I'd like for there to be a social worker visit for a BHET, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. The SAP calendar for this date will be September 17th. So if you will have the social worker visit or BHET done by that time to report to the judge, at that time we'll reconsider modification of the bond if that's what she chooses.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. McLeod, I'm not sure if you need some help with that. Maybe one of the
I do, Your Honor.
okay,
I
if
do.
one of
I don't have access.
okay, Mr. Haddad, are you with me?
I am, Judge.
Yes, Mr. Haddad, would you mind assisting Ms. McLeod with the social worker visit in this matter for the court?
I'll look into that, Judge. I'll follow up and see what needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. Quite often conflicts attorney don't have the same resources as does the PD, so we'd appreciate that. All right, good luck to you, Ms. Evans.
Next, Your
Thank
Honor.
you, Your Honor. That concludes my business before the court. May I be excused?
Yes, enjoy the rest of your Labor Day. Thank you, Ms. McLeod.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we're coming back to courtroom 2. This is going to be position number 10, Mr. Gamble.
Okay, Mr. Gamble, you've been charged in case 24 CR 006187A with distracted driving and fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer. Is there a history?
2 cycles, Your Honor. The last arrest was January 18th, 2024, out of Atlanta for driving while license suspended. That case was reduced to a non-fingerprintable charge. Recommendation from pretrial is a UJR jail. Nothing further.
Your Honor, this incident took place back on May 23rd of 2024. This is a delayed arrest. Officers were positioned at the intersection of Elaine Avenue and Ellsworth Industrial, which is a four-way stop intersection. The officers observed a black Mercedes G550 texting at the stop sign. The officer activated his lights to initiate a traffic stop. The vehicle pulled into the parking lot of the restaurant depot and was stopping, then going, then stopping, then going. The officer was announcing, stop the vehicle. He did stop the vehicle. The officer then went to get out of his vehicle and the defendant sped off. The officer ran the tag. It came back to the defendant's name and it showed a failure to appear from May of 2024 for driving on a suspended license. The officer followed the defendant to a gated community where the defendant drove into a garage at a residence and shut the door, and the officer put out a warrant. Your Honor, he has multiple failures to appear in his driving history. The state's requesting a split bond in this case, an SOB jail on the distracted driving, and then a $1,000 surety bond on the fleeing, no driving without a valid license. And that's based on the defendant's multiple failures to appear and the risk that he won't come back to court. Thank you.
Trejo.
Yes, Judge, we're asking for UJR on both counts. My client's been in Atlanta for 12 years. He did his undergraduate studies here. He's an esthetician. He owns his own business, and does perform community outreach and feed the homeless through the church that he attends, which is the Dream Center Church here in Atlanta. Judge, he has spent some time in custody already at this time, and we're asking for UJR based on the charges.
Okay, it will be a split bond for the distracted driving. It will be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. For the fleeing, it'll be a $500 good bond. No driving without a valid license, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Gamble.
Next, we have position number 17, Mr. Sean Lucas.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lucas. You've been charged in case 24 CR 0061938 with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Yes, Your Honor. 4 cycles out of Georgia and 12 cycles out of Florida. The last arrest was September 23rd, 2022 out of Fulton County for willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, aggravated assault, and fare evasion. That is an open case under case number 23 SC 189624. Out of Florida, there are convictions from 2000 for fraud, 2017 for battery, 2017 possession of marijuana, and 2019 for battery. Recommendation from pretrial, Your Honor, is level 3 and nothing further.
Your Honor, this incident took place September 1st, 2024. Officers were called because of an armed subject call at a restaurant at Abby's Mediterranean Grill at 11877 Douglas Road. The caller told 911 that there was a former employee that was threatening her with a knife and was trying to flee in the company van. And she gave the officers the make and model of the van. It was a white Nissan. The officer arrived on scene and saw the van that matched the description that was given to 911. He saw 2 males exit the vehicle, one from the driver's side and one from the passenger side. At this point, the officer did not know who was the suspect and attempted to detain both of them. The defendant was ordered to stop walking several times. The officer tried to detain him physically by handcuffing him so he could further investigate. The defendant kept pulling away from the officer's grip, and this went on for some time until he was eventually tased. Judge, you heard from pretrial, he does have an open case for aggravated assault against a law enforcement officer, and that case also has 4 counts of willful obstruction. The state's requesting a $2,000 surety bond, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol out on bond. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, on behalf of Mr. Lucas, he is 51 years of age, Judge. I can go a little bit more into the facts. I normally don't, but I will ask a UJR level 3. The evidence will show that my client and his cousin were both employees at that particular restaurant. and she closed the business without telling them. And it was not my client who had, I think it was a utility knife that was in the van. I think the issue with my client is that he walked away, which led to the obstruction, Judge. Under the circumstances, Your Honor, I would ask for a level 3. He clearly does not have a job anymore. And that's that, Judge.
Be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. Stay away from the Douglas Road address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Lucas. Welcome.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, we're gonna go to the interpreted cases. It's gonna be position number 4, Mr. Carvajal.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Chancey. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. If you can raise your right hand for me.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do you swear affirm you will translate from English to Spanish and Spanish to English to the best of your ability?
Yes, sir, I do.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Kabarja. You have been charged in case 24 CR 006191Y with battery.
Buenas tardes, señor Carvajal. En el caso 24CR 006191Y, usted ha sido, tiene un cargo por golpes y lesiones.
Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
¿Hay antecedentes, señorita o señora Harvey?
First, to rest your honor, recommendation from pretrial is a UJR jail.
I'm sorry, UJRJ.
UJR jail.
Este es el primer arresto y la recomendación es una fianza a través de la cárcel.
Your Honor, this incident took place September 1st, 2024. Officers responded to 3334 Wheeler Street in Hapeville regarding a dispute.
I'm sorry, 3334?
Wheeler Street in Hapeville regarding a dispute.
Este incidente ocurrió el 1 de septiembre del 2024 cuando los oficiales fueron llamados a llegar al 3334 Wheeler Street in Hapeville debido a una disputa.
The victim in this case is the defendant's girlfriend, Katie Cardenas. She stated she was dropping off a friend at the incident location and the defendant got upset.
La víctima es la novia del acusado, Katie Cardina, quien dijo que había llevado a una amiga cuando llegó a la casa y encontró a este acusado enojado.
The defendant told her to get out of the vehicle and then shortly after demanded that she get back in the vehicle.
I'm sorry, who said to get back into the vehicle?
The defendant told the victim to get back and told her to get out of the vehicle and then told her shortly after to get back into the vehicle.
El acusado le ordenó que saliera del auto y un poco después le dijo que volviera a subirse al auto.
And when the victim got back into the vehicle, the defendant punched her in the face, leaving visible marks.
Entonces, cuando la víctima volvió a entrar al auto, el acusado le dio un puñetazo, dejándole marcas visibles en la cara.
There was a witness in this matter, Sandra Pena, who also witnessed the altercation and provided a statement to police.
Hubo un testigo, Sandra Peña, que provijo una declaración ante la policía también.
The defendant was later arrested. He was found at the victim's residence. However, the parties do not live together and have never lived together.
Al acusado se arrestó y fue encontrado en la residencia de la víctima, pero ellos no han vivido nunca juntos.
We have not been in touch with the victim today, and this is a first arrest, so the state's requesting a signature bond through pretrial services. No further contact with Miss Cardenas. Stay away from the incident location, which is the Wheeler Street address, and also a stay away from her residence, which is 3299 Russell Street. Anger awareness, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol out on bond.
Debido a que no pudimos estar en contacto con la víctima hoy, la sentencia recomendada es una fianza bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio, no tener más contacto con la víctima, la señora Cárdenas, tampoco tener contacto con un momento, por favor. También no mantenerse alejado de la dirección 3299 Russell Street, inscribirse en un programa de manejo de la ira, y también mantenerse alejado del domicilio 3334 Wheeler Street, y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
And Your Honor, if you could sound for Miss Cardenas.
Si podemos llamar a la señora Cárdenas. Señora Cárdenas está presente en la plataforma. Katie Cárdenas, por favor, prenda su micrófono y avísenos. Y su cámara.
Doesn't appear that she's with us. Mr. Trejo?
Yes, there's no objection to the UJR, no objection to the stay away order. My client indicated that he's not in the habit of visiting this address or staying at either of these addresses indicated by the state. So we don't anticipate that being an issue. And Judge Wall, my client represented to me that he is single, that he's no longer seeing the alleged victim in this case. We would ask for no further violent contact and no further objections to the other terms as discussed by the state.
Bueno, no hay ninguna objeción a la fianza, a mantenerse alejado. Mi cliente me dice que él no tiene el hábito de ir de visita seguido a la casa de la víctima. También dice que él está soltero en este momento y que no ha visto a la víctima. También estamos de acuerdo con no tener contacto violento y estamos de acuerdo con el resto de las condiciones.
Okay. It will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from the Wheeler Street address. Stay away from the Russell Street address. No further contact with Ms. Cardenas. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Entonces, impongo una fianza de $2,000 bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio en el nivel 1. Mantenerse alejado de la residencia que está en el Wheeler Road y Russell Street, y también no tener más contacto con la víctima, señora Cárdenas. Se prohíbe el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 6, Mr. Cervantes.
Señor Cervantes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cervantes. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006184Y with 4 counts of simple assault.
Buenas tardes, señor Cervantes. Usted ha sido acusado en el caso 24 CR 006184Y con 4 cargos de agresión simple.
Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Hay antecedentes, señorita Harvey.
First arrest, Your Honor. Pretrial's recommendation is a UJR jail.
También es el primer arresto y la recomendación es por sus siglas en inglés, UJRJ.
Your Honor, this incident took place August 31st, 2024. Officers responded to the Roswell Creek Apartments located at 853 Roswell Creek Lane in Roswell regarding an assault.
Could you please slow down just a little bit?
Sorry.
That was Roswell Creek.
Apartments
Well,
at
okay.
853 Roswell Creek Lane in Roswell regarding an assault.
Thank you. Su señoría, el día del incidente fue el 31 de agosto del 2024 y ocurrió en los departamentos Roswell Creek, en el 853 Roswell Creek Lane, debido a un acto de agresión.
The victims in this case are a family of 4 that lives next to the defendant. It's a husband, a wife, and 2 minor children.
Las víctimas es una familia de 4 miembros que viven al lado de el acusado. Es un esposo, una esposa y 4 hijos menores.
The husband, father is Andres Nava Orozco. He told police that he was sitting on the porch with his family, and the defendant came up to them extremely intoxicated and yelling.
El padre, Andrés Nava Orozco, dijo que estaban sentados afuera con la familia y el acusado se presentó embriagado.
The defendant then threw 2 beer bottles at the 4 people, nearly striking them.
Y el acusado arrojó 2 botellas de cerveza que casi los golpeó a los 4.
And the bottles were glass. The glass shattered on the pavement.
Y las botellas eran de vidrio, las cuales se rompieron sobre el pavimento.
The father then got up and punched the man in the face in order to get his family inside safely.
El padre le dio un puñetazo en la cara para poder proteger y mantener a su familia seguros.
The officer knocked on the apartment door where the victim told police that the defendant returned to, and a man opened the door.
La policía golpeó en la puerta en donde se le dijo que el acusado volvió a la residencia de ellos y golpeó en la puerta.
The officer later identified him as the defendant. He stated that he was very intoxicated and had a swollen eye, and denied throwing anything, and told the officer he did not know who punched him.
La policía entonces identificó al acusado, el comentario fue de que estaba muy intoxicado, con un ojo inflamado y que negó saber quién le había dado un puñetazo.
The victims also stated that they have had no interactions with this individual, and there was no argument leading up to this. It was a completely unprovoked attack.
Las víctimas también dijeron que nunca habían interactuado con este acusado, que nunca había, o que no hubo un previo disputa con él, que fue solamente un ataque sin provocación.
The state's requesting a $1,000 surety bond on each count. No further contact with the victims, Andres Nava Orozco, Patricia Amaya Cabuena, Antonio Nava, and Alondra Nava. Stay away from the incident location. an alcohol and drug evaluation and follow treatment, and no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
La recomendación es de una fianza de $1,000 bajo garantía, no tener contacto con las víctimas, el señor Andrés Nava Orozco, Patricia Amaya Pebuera, Antonio y Alondra Nava, mantenerse fuera o distanciado de la residencia de ellos y también someterse a una examinación de drogas y alcohol y se prohíbe el uso de drogas y alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
We have not been in touch with the victims today. Your Honor, if you could sound for Mr. Nava Orozco or Miss Amaya Pabuena.
No hemos tenido contacto con las víctimas. Queremos llamar al señor Andrés Nava Orozco, si está en la plataforma, y a la señora Amaya Pabuena, que por favor prendan su cámara y micrófono y avísenos.
Doesn't appear that they're with us. Ms. Desiano, do you have an apartment number?
No parece estar presente. ¿Tiene el número de departamento?
I don't, Your Honor. Let me check one more, please.
No lo
Okay.
tengo. Un momento, por favor.
While you do that, Mr. Trahan?
Yes, Judge, as I'm sure the court is picking up, we would be opposed to a stay away order given that these are apartment buildings.
Vamos a estar opuestos a que haya una orden de distanciamiento, ya que los departamentos están juntos.
We do not have any objection to no further contact as my client does not know these individuals, and it doesn't sound as though they've said that they know him either.
Tampoco no tenemos ninguna objeción para que no haya más contacto entre ellos, ya que mi cliente no los conoce y parece que las otras partes tampoco lo conocen a mi cliente.
Judge, we would ask the court to follow the recommendation for a UJR.
Y también queremos solicitar que su señoría acepte la recomendación para UJR por sus siglas en inglés.
And my client did indicate that that he was attacked and that and he does have marks to prove it and indicates that any confrontation was defensive.
Mi cliente también alega que él fue atacado y tiene marcas que mostrar en la confrontación, ocurridas en la confrontación.
And Your Honor, I'm showing that the defendant's address is 855 Roswell Creek Lane H. I'm assuming that's the unit number. The incident location in the warrant is 853 Roswell Creek Lane. I do believe they're separate buildings, but they are right next to each other.
Es el 855 en Roswell Creek Lane. H, pareciera ese ser el número de la unidad. Está después 853, Roswell Creek Lane, pero son edificios separados, pero están uno al lado del otro.
Okay, it will be $1,000 signature bond through the jail on each count, which makes for a $4,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with the alleged victims. Stay away from the alleged victims' apartments. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Es una fianza de $1,000 bajo firma. Da por cargo, da un total de una fianza de $4,000 a través de la cárcel. No tener más contacto con las víctimas, debe mantenerse alejado del departamento en donde viven las víctimas y se prohíbe el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
Next, Your Honor, is gonna be position number 9, Mr. Gallegos, Carlos Gallegos.
Señor
Good afternoon.
Gallegos.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gallegos. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006195A with theft by deception.
Buenas tardes, señor Gallegos. En el caso 24CR 006195A, usted tiene un cargo por robo mediante engaño.
History, Ms. Harvey.
Los
First-
antecedentes, señorita Harvey.
First arrest, Your Honor, recommendation from pretrial is a UJR jail.
Este es el primer arresto, su señoría, y la recomendación es una fianza a través de la cárcel.
Your Honor, this incident took place back in April, May timeframe. The incident date in the warrant is May 6th of 2024. Officers responded to a theft call by the victim, Charlie Holloway, who resides at 240 Carriage Station Circle.
One moment, please. Could I have the name, the last name, please? Is Charlie
Holloway.
Holloway. Okay, thank you. En este episodio ocurrió entre abril y mayo. Se encuentra como mayo 6 del 2024, en donde la policía respondió a una llamada hecha por Charlie Holloway en la dirección 240 Carriage Station Court.
The victim advised that he hired the defendant to do some construction projects at his home, including building a deck.
La víctima alegó que él había contratado al acusado para hacer un trabajo de construcción que incluía una terraza.
The defendant built half of the deck and then stopped work.
Y el acusado construyó la mitad y después dejó de trabajar.
On April 16th of 2024, the victim requested that the defendant finish the deck, and the defendant told him that he needed $500 in order to finish the project.
El 16 de abril del 2024, el señor le pidió al acusado que terminara su trabajo. El acusado respondió que él necesitaba $500 para terminar el trabajo.
The victim Venmoed him $500 and never saw him again.
La víctima le dio $500, pero él no volvió a ver al acusado de nuevo.
And the defendant refuses to answer any of his phone calls or texts, and he called the police to report the theft about a month later.
El acusado no contestaba las llamadas o los mensajes de texto. Entonces, la víctima llamó a la policía para denunciar este incidente.
State's requesting a signature bond, no further contact with Mr. Holloway, stay away from his residence, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
La fiscalía requiere una fianza bajo firma, no tener más contacto con el señor Holloway, mantenerse distanciado de la residencia del señor Holloway y se prohíbe el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
And we have not been in touch with Mr. Holloway today. Your Honor can sound for him. Thank you.
Quisiera que poder llamar al señor Holloway porque no hemos podido contactarlo hoy.
Mr. Charlie Holloway is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Doesn't appear so. Mr. Trejo?
Señor Trejo.
Yes, Judge, no objection.
No tengo objeción.
Okay, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Mr. Holloway. Stay away from the Carriage Station Circle address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Se otorga una fianza de $1,000 bajo firma a través de la cárcel, no tener más contacto con el señor Holloway, mantenerse distanciado de la dirección 240 Carriage Station Circle y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
Your Honor, that concludes, the Spanish interpreter cases.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chancey. We appreciate you being here today. You enjoy the rest of your holiday.
You're welcome. Thank you. You too, sir.
Thank you.
We can now go to ACDC.
Next, we have position number 3, Ms. Campbell.
Good afternoon, Ms. Campbell. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006183F with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
No, Your Honor. First arrest, recommendation from pretrial is a UJR jail.
Your Honor, this incident took place August 31st, 2024. Officers responded to a dispute call at 9107 Peachtree Landing Circle in Fairburn. Upon arrival, they made contact with the defendant, who called the police. She reported that she and her husband were on the verge of divorce, and she texted him and told him to stay at his mom's house for the night. He refused, and when he got home, they began arguing. She told the police that he shoved her, and then she blacked out, and when she came to, she was holding his genitals, and her husband was holding her by the hair. She states then the argument continued, and that's when she called police. The officers then spoke to the victim in this case, the husband. His name is Manasseh Campbell. He stated that his wife got in his face. He pushed her out of his face, and then both parties started hitting each other. They separated, and he left to go to a different room to collect his belongings. The defendant came into that room and started hitting him again. The officer noted that the defendant had a small bruise on the corner of her right elbow, and the victim had bruising and bleeding lacerations on his chest and his right forearm, and bruising on his body, as well as a busted lip. The officer determined that both parties were aggressors, but the defendant was the primary aggressor. The officer issued a citation to the victim, Mr. Campbell, for simple battery, and then arrested the defendant. We have been in touch with Mr. Campbell today. He states that the parties have been married for a year. They don't have children. They reside at the incident location. He states they're in the process of a separation. He did receive a citation for simple battery, but he was not arrested. He states that they do have a domestic violence history, but this is the first time it's gotten out of hand, and the police have been called. He would like no contact, and he says that a stay away is not necessary because he will not be staying at the incident location. The state's requesting an SOB through pretrial, no further contact with Mr. Campbell, anger awareness course, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol out on bond, and I believe Mr. Campbell is on the line.
Campbell, if you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so.
I'm fine with everything, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Mr. Campbell. Mr. Trejo?
Yes, Judge, no objection to the signature bond. My client confirmed the state's representation that the two parties are no longer cohabitating, that it is her house where she's going to be staying. He's going to be staying with his mother, and there are no issues with no further contact at this time.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Mr. Campbell. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Your Honor, what was that bond amount, please?
2,000 signature through pretrial.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who do we have next?
Next we have position 35, Ms. Wheelwright.
Good afternoon, Ms. Wheelwright. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006212D with 2 counts of battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
No, Your Honor. First arrest, recommendation is a UJR jail.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's my case. This is an incident that happened on the 1st at about 2 a.m. at 180 Ponce de Leon Avenue. That is a gas station. Officers were flagged down by security at the location and relocated from across the street. They encountered this defendant in front of you, Mrs. Wheelwright, driving a blue vehicle. Her boyfriend, I believe, the victim, Javari Pierce, Javarri, was outside of the vehicle and was seen to have blood coming from his mouth and a laceration on his shoulder. Police asked Mr. Price what had happened, and he didn't really want to make a statement. The security guard reported that he had witnessed the defendant repeatedly punch Mr. Price in his face and head area before he exited the car. The defendant made a statement to police and said that as she was driving, she had her boyfriend's phone and he tried to get it back from her. So she shoved him and hit him in the face. She took responsibility for causing his injuries. We did speak to Mr. Pierce today. He reported that there is no domestic violence history. We would ask for no violent contact, Your Honor, and we would follow the recommendation for pretrial. Thank you.
No objections, Judge.
All right, so for each count, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with Mr. Javari, I believe it's Pierce, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck, Ms. Wheelwright.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Next is position 25 and 26, Ms. Rosen.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Rosen. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006204J with theft by deception, and in case 24 CR 006205J with 2 counts of theft by deception. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
3 cycles, Your Honor. Last arrest was December 22nd, 2016 for a DUI out of Fulton County. That was reduced to a non-fingerprintable offense. There does appear to be a hold out of DeKalb County for larceny. There is an additional open case out of Fulton County for felony theft by deception. Case number 24 PI 006396. It appears this case was on the felony calendar today, Judge. Nothing further.
Thank you.
It's my case, Your Honor, or 2 cases, I should say. Position number 25, the date of that incident is May the 30th. Both of these cases deal essentially with the same facts on different dates, Your Honor. Loss Prevention conducted an investigation at the locations of TJ Maxx here in the metro area, 2 of them specifically, one on Buckhead Loop and the other at Medlock Bridge Road. They both carry high-end items. Investigation revealed that the defendant purchased a $1,600 purse at the Buckhead Loop location on May the 21st. And then on May the 30th, went into the Medlock Bridge location and used the documents from her purchase of that purse to return a different purse and get the full value of that purse refunded to her. So now she has the purse, that's $1,600, and her $1,600 back that she paid for the purse with, and gave TJ Maxx a janky purse. She was seen on surveillance, photographs of her items and documentation through her transactions, as well as her car, her Tesla that she left the location in, were all used to identify her. So that $1,600 purse is the first case, Your Honor. The second case has 2 counts. On the 21st of May, same day at the Buckhead Loop store, she purchased a black pair of shoes for $599. On the 20th of May, she went to the Medlock Bridge TJ Maxx location and returned a different pair of shoes, not the nice $599 shoes, and then got her $599 back. So now again, she's got shoes and her money back. The second count in that case, Your Honor, is from a purchase on June the 27th, July the 2nd, and July the 9th, all for multiple items of clothing totaling a value of $569.93 that she then returned on July the 11th at the same Medlock Bridge Road location, where she returned items that were not the items she originally bought, weren't the same color, weren't the same items, but were like a blouse or a pair of pants or a pair of sweatpants. They just were conveniently not the ones that she'd purchased that are high end. And she received her $569.93 back in a refund. We did request a transfer of this case, Your Honor, based on the value, and that was declined this morning. So you've got two cases in front of you, all for the same behavior, and the total value taken just in these three transactions over $2,300. There is history, Your Honor, but it's minimal. I do think it is of note she's got an active larceny charge, and it looks like maybe there's a first appearance felony situation as well. The state would be asking for a $2,000 surety bond on both of the cases. Stay away from all TJ Maxx locations for goodness sakes. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and we'd request a BHET or an MHET. Thank you.
We know what bond she got at felony first appearance this morning? Ms. Harvey?
I'm checking, Judge. Let me see.
Okay.
Judge, it appears just while we're looking, the felony charge, the 24 PI is for the same incident, though, from May 30th, which is case number 25. So I don't know when Ms. Allen mentioned that the DA's office declined, whether that was the case. It looks like it is. So, but I guess we'll hear confirmation whether she went to Superior Court or not in a second. I would ask the court to consider a UJR, Judge. My client is 65 years of age. She runs her own business with her husband. This is not a situation where she was arrested, bonded out, got rearrested. These warrants came essentially back to back to back. She has a DeKalb County hold. From speaking to my client, there's no indication of any type of MH or BH, Judge. I would ask for a UJR. I've explained to her that she'll be going straight to DeKalb to deal with that. I'm guessing it's similar type charges, but I don't know, Judge.
Okay. Any information for me, Ms. Harvey?
No, Judge, I'm not showing the bond amounts.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. She got $100 bond.
Okay.
Well, that answers my question.
Thank you. All right, so for position 25, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from all TJ Maxx stores and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. For position 26, it's going to be $1,000 on each charge. Signature bond through pretrial makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from all TJ Maxx stores and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Thank
Good
you,
luck
Judge.
to
Thank you.
Next is my last one, Your Honor. Position
Okay.
14, Kenneth Jones.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006196G with theft by taking. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Yes, Your Honor, 55 cycles. Last arrest, October 20th, 2020, out of Fulton County for a probation violation. For theft, appears to be on probation out of Fulton County for theft by shoplifting. Sentenced March 15th, 2019 to 9 years probation. There is an additional open case out of Fulton County for simple battery and theft by shoplifting. Case number 24 PI 004036. In addition, Your Honor, there are convictions from 2020 for theft by shoplifting, 2018 battery, 2017, theft by shoplifting, 2016, identity theft fraud, 2013, criminal trespass, 2012, theft by shoplifting, 2010, aggravated assault, 2008, criminal damage to property, 2007, robbery, terroristic threats, possession of a controlled substance, 2005, disorderly conduct and theft by shoplifting, 2004, theft by taking, 2002, theft by shoplifting and criminal trespass, at least one FTA and 2 probation violations in the history. Recommendation from pretrial, Your Honor, is level 3 and nothing further.
Your Honor, his last arrest was actually May 22nd of this year for shoplifting, and he is a recidivist, so that was transferred to the DA. He's been in custody since May 22nd. This incident took place in March. However, the warrants were signed on August 28th, and he was booked on this case on August 31st because they did not immediately identify the defendant as the suspect in this case, and that's the basis for the delay. But this incident happened on March 15th at the Kindred Healing Center at 1800 Jonesboro Road. The defendant is on surveillance camera stealing an air fryer valued at approximately $50 from the location. Initially, the Kindred Healing Center, they did not recognize the defendant and took some time to identify him. However, he was identified from other officers in the area, most recently from the officer that arrested him for shoplifting back in May. And he's got 56 arrest cycles, so the officers know who he is. And then his ID was further confirmed by comparing photos of the surveillance to photos of Mr. Jones. The state is requesting a $1,000 surety bond, a stay away from the incident location, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. Thank you.
Yes, Judge, we'll ask the court to consider a UJR bond on this case just because my client has been in custody for 103 days, Judge, and because there are other things that are holding him. That probation violation is still pending, and he does have that theft by shoplifting that was referred to the DA's office. Judge, my client is homeless. He indicated that he's been homeless for some time. He has had a social worker visit while he's been in custody. And furthermore, Judge, as I mentioned previously, he has other things that are holding him. He wouldn't be able to make a bond if he was given one to begin with. Therefore, we are asking for a UJR bond so that once he resolves some of these other issues, this doesn't end up being something that holds him longer than needs to be held.
Okay, it'll be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. Stay away from the 1800 Jonesboro Road address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Your Honor. May we be excused, please?
Yes, have a good rest of your afternoon, Officer
you.
Milton. See you next time. Okay, who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 1, Mr. Alexander.
Good afternoon, Mr. Alexander. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006181G with battery. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Yes, Your Honor. 23 cycles out of Ohio and 2 cycles out of Kentucky. The last arrest was out of Kentucky, August 12th, 2015, for possession with intent to distribute heroin. That was a conviction, Your Honor. In addition, there are convictions from 2013 for attempt escape, 2013 possession of a controlled substance, 2009 assault, 2008 felonious assault, 2005 possession of a controlled substance and possession of criminal tools, and a 2002 conviction for trafficking drugs. Recommendation from pretrial is a level 2. Nothing further.
Your Honor, this incident took place August 31st, 2024. Officers responded to 4725 Walton Crossing Southwest regarding a fight in progress. The victim in this case is Jessica Freeman. She stated that she was in the car with the defendant, who was her boyfriend. She turned on the air conditioning and the defendant got upset about that, apparently. And also there's an issue with the car where the seatbelt signal keeps going off, and that was irritating as well. She stated that the defendant snapped and started calling her names and then punched her 4 or 5 times. And the warrant also states that he quickly choked her. The officer noted that the victim had swelling to her left eye and lip. We've not been in touch with Ms. Freeman today. The state's requesting a $2,500 surety bond, no contact with Ms. Freeman, a stay away from the incident location, anger management courses, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond, and if the court can sound for Ms. Freeman. Thank you.
Jessica Freeman's on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. Mr. Trejo?
Yes, Judge, we would object to a stay away order as this is my client's home where he is on the lease and where he pays the rent. He indicated to me that he has no issues with no further contact with the other party. My client has been in Atlanta for 2 years, though he does have substantial history from out of state. As the state mentioned, he has no history dating back to 2015. He's gainfully employed. He came down to Atlanta so he can work and put some of those prior issues behind him. That has largely been the case up until now. And for that reason, Judge, we would ask for a $1,000 surety bond, and we would object to the stay away order.
Okay, so you're telling me that Ms. Freeman does not live at the Walton Crossing address, Mr. Trejo?
Judge, I believe she may have her own address. I know that that is his address and that he was living there and that he has concerns about a stay away order.
I'm showing that according to the citation he received, he put his address as 706 The Trace in Lithonia. So it was my understanding that the incident location was her residence.
Can we clarify that, Mr. Trejo? Does he need to go back to the Walton Crossing address?
I'd like to clarify that with him, Judge. I know he mentioned that he has, I think, family at the Trace address and that he had been staying there. If I could clarify that with my client and then make that representation to the court.
Go ahead. Can we just do that here?
Sure thing. Mr. Alexander, can you please just confirm which address is your actual address, whether it's the Trace or whether it's the Walton Crossing address?
My address is the Walton Crossing, New Jersey. That's the one with my name on the lease.
Does Ms. Freeman live there also?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if Ms. Freeman lives there, he's not going to be able to go back there, even though his name, if she's residing there. So it'll be $1,000 good bond, no further contact with Ms. Freeman. Stay away from the Walton Crossing address. You can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. If Ms. Freeman happens to leave that address, of course, he can go back and reside there if she is not residing there. But because he's to have no further contact with her, if she is residing there, he has to get his belongings and find somewhere else to reside. All right. Good luck to you, sir.
Next is going to be position number 2, Mr. Nathan Burgess.
Good afternoon, Mr. Burks. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006182B with criminal trespass. Is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor. Last arrest August 20th, 2024 out of DeKalb County for criminal trespass. That was a conviction, Your Honor. In addition, there are convictions from 2024 for theft by shoplifting. 2 additional convictions from 2024 for criminal trespass. A 2023 conviction for criminal trespass, as well as a 2020, 2018, 2017, and 2016, all convictions for criminal trespass. There's a 2023 conviction for disorderly conduct. At least 2 probation violations and 1 FTA in the history. Recommendation from pretrial is a level 3, Your Honor, and nothing further.
Judge, this incident took place August 31st at the H.E. Holmes MARTA station at 70 Hamilton E. Holmes Drive. An officer was patrolling the area and saw the defendant loitering. He asked him to either get on a train or a bus or leave the station. The defendant then left, and then he returned again, and at that point he was issued a criminal trespass warning and was asked to leave again. He left again and then came back again, and then he was placed under arrest. And once he was placed under arrest, it was also determined that The defendant has 3 active suspensions with MARTA, stemming from, let's see, July 2024 and extending until November 2024. It looks like he's been issued suspensions at multiple stations and they're possibly not matching up, but all the timeframes are fairly similar. The state's requesting a $500 surety bond to stay away from MARTA, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Yes, Judge, we are asking for a signature bond in this case due to my client's indigence. He indicated to me that he does not work, he does not receive any government benefits. He lives with his mother, who is the one who's responsible for paying rent and paying the other bills. He went to school through the 11th grade. His entire family is here in Atlanta. He is local to Atlanta, has lived here his entire life. Our main concern, Judge, is his ability to pay any bond in order to be released.
Okay, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from MARTA and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Mr. Burks, I'm going to let you out, but if you go back to MARTA, they're going to rearrest you again. And the next time, I'm not going to let you out in a signature bond. So don't go back to MARTA, okay?
How long suspension is?
Your Honor, did you mean level 1 or level 3?
I meant level 1 because of his, I want to make sure that he complies. So, okay. Mr. Burks, good luck to you, sir.
Next, Your Honor, is gonna be position number 7, Mr. David Craig. Your Honor, I see they put another charge on him. Do you want me to put this to the back of the calendar?
Yeah, let's, I'm not sure who's representing him, but given his charges, and I know that we have 3, I believe, that have the same charge, let's put them all at the end of the calendar, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
You go to the back. Next, we're gonna go to position number 12, Mr. Michael Grubbs.
Good afternoon, Mr. Grubbs. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006189C with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
4 cycles, Your Honor. The last arrest was out of Cobb County for a failure to appear, January 22nd, 2020. It appears he received first offender in 2015 for unlawful to possess, display, or use any false identification document and furnishing or possessing by persons below legal age of alcohol. Recommendation from pretrial, Your Honor, is a level 1 and nothing further.
Your Honor, this incident took place August 31st, 2024. Officers were dispatched to 22 Gertrude Place regarding a domestic dispute. Upon arrival, they made contact with the defendant, who stated that he mushed his wife's face and then got dressed and went and sat on the porch. The officer then spoke with the victim, Farah Saranetti. She stated that the defendant was asleep on the couch and was watching football. When he fell asleep, she changed the channel to Netflix. The defendant woke up upset that she had changed the channel. So she changed it back to the football and then got his computer to watch a movie. And when she was trying to watch a movie, the defendant came in and told her, "You're not using my laptop," snatched it away, and then slapped her in the face twice, causing her to have a bloody nose. We've not been in touch with Miss Saranetti today. I believe she may be on the Zoom. The state's requesting a $2,500 good bond, no further contact with Miss Saranetti, stay away from the incident location, taking complete and anger management course, and no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. If the court can sound for Miss Saranetti.
Ms. Saranetti, is this you under Farah's iPhone here?
Yes.
Okay, if you'd like to address the court, I'll need for you to raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
I just would like to add that this is the first time I have ever experienced this with him, and he is battling 3 different infections, a kidney infection and some other organ infections. He had a high fever at the time. I do feel like it is, and he's on several medications. Just feel like it might be related, and that's all I have to say.
If you like him back in the household?
That's fine.
You're not afraid of him?
No,
And you said that this has never happened before?
never.
Okay, that a response as such as "that's fine" causes me concern. Is it fine or or are you just saying it was fine? Do you want him back? Or would you rather him, for the meantime, find someplace else to stay? You can tell me the truth. I expect you to.
It is the first time, and my gut just tells me it's related medical and the fact that he was asleep. I feel fine. I do.
Okay, so you're not afraid of him, is what you're telling me.
No.
All right. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Serenati. Yes, Mr.
Your Honor.
Trejo. Ms. Desiano?
I'll reserve my argument for the end, Your Honor. Thank you.
Trejo?
Yes, Judge, given my client's wife's representations, we would ask for $1,000 surety bond on this case. My client indicated to me that he is a operations manager with a event and wedding planning company, so he is gainfully employed. He indicated to me that he and his wife are renting a property right now while they're having work done on their house. That she is not working at the time, that he does have significant financial concerns. Based on the situation, he's been taking on additional part-time jobs, at least 2 of them at this time. He does have a bachelor's degree from Georgia State and has been in Atlanta for 24 years and does have family here. So we don't have any concerns about his not appearing to court when called upon.
Okay, Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, I think the court can see the hesitancy in the victim here, and that certainly concerns the state, because if this is a medical issue, and it seems to me that this may be out of character, however, it may be something that's medically induced, and it's not something that appears to be going away. This just happened a couple of days ago, and I certainly understand that the victim would like the defendant to come back home, and it's possibly awkward with him sitting right there and her being able to be honest about how she truly feels. And given that this just happened, these bond modification conditions can be modified at a later point. And I think what's best for the victim at this point is to have no contact and let these parties cool off, and then we can readdress contact at a later point when these folks have had some time to cool off.
Okay, it's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 5 days of anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Serenati, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you both. Who do we have next?
Next is going to be position number 13, Mr. Yao. Gao.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006190C with simple battery and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
One arrest out of New York from July 6, 2022 for obstruction of breathing or blood circulation. No disposition was listed for that case, Your Honor. Recommendation from pretrial is a UJRJO. Nothing further.
Your Honor, this incident happened September 1st, 2024. Officers were dispatched to 1163 West Peachtree Street regarding a dispute. The victim in this case, first name Weiyi, last name Han, stated that her boyfriend grabbed her and slapped her on the left side of her face and then snatched her cell phone. The victim advised the defendant asked her to move in with him, and she agreed and started to move her belongings, and then during the move changed her mind and told him that she did not want to live with him, and that's when she was struck. The victim also noted that the defendant has been violent with her in the past, but she's never made a report until now. The officers spoke to the defendant, and he made a statement to the police where he told them that the victim told him to slap her, and so he touched her face. The officers then went to place the defendant under arrest, and he resisted arrest, and that's the basis for the obstruction. The officers searched the defendant incident to arrest and did find the victim's cell phone, even though he told police he didn't know where it was. We have been in touch with Ms. Hahn today. She states that she and the defendant have been together for about 3 months. They do not live together. The incident location is her apartment. She stated that the defendant's been aggressive with her before this incident. This is the first time she's called the police. She is afraid of him. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She states that she has expensive belongings in his apartment and would like to know how she can retrieve those items. She stated that she has the defendant's car and his house keys. She would like a no contact and a stay away and a one-time escort for both parties so that they can each get their belongings from one another's apartment. The state's requesting a $1,000 good bond on each count, no further contact with Ms. Hahn, a stay away from her residence, taking complete anger management class, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And I believe Ms. Hahn's on the line, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Hahn would like to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. Of course, you do not have to, but if you would like to, you have to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
Okay, did you hear would you like to address the court?
Yes.
Okay, then you'll have to activate your camera for me. You hear me, Ms. Hahn? Are you with me, Ms. Hahn? While we wait for her, Mr. Trejo.
Yes, Judge, given my client's lack of history, we would ask for a UJR on this case. Judge, my client, as the state mentioned, this is not my client's address. We have no issues with the stay away order, provided that my client may have a one-time law enforcement escort for each party to retrieve their items from the other's custody.
Your Honor, to be clear, he does have history. He has a 2022 criminal obstruction of breathing or blood and second-degree harassment out of New York.
All right. Doesn't seem like Ms. Hahn is with us anymore. As such, for the simple battery, we had $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, obstruction, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Hahn. Stay away from the West Peachtree Street address. They can have a one-time police escort to retrieve any belongings, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir. You're on mute, courtroom 2.
It's gonna be position number 15, Mr. Leitner.
Okay, Mr. Leitner, you've been charged in case 24 CR 006194D with 2 counts of battery family violence, 2 counts of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, and hindering or obstructing persons making emergency telephone call. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
2 cycles. The last arrest was December 25th, 2022 out of Newton County for driving on a suspended license. There was a nolo contendere. There does appear to be a probation violation hold out of Newton County, Your Honor. Recommendation from pretrial is a level 1 and nothing further.
Your Honor, I believe Ms. Hahn just joined.
Ms. Hahn, are you with me? You have to unmute yourself, Ms. Hahn.
Sorry, can you hear me right now? Sorry,
Yes.
the network is out of control.
Okay, I've already issued the bond in the matter. He is to stay away from you and to stay away from your apartment. You both can have a one-time escort with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that you have, okay?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, this incident happened on May 17th of 2024. Officers responded to 1994 Bent Creek regarding a domestic dispute. The first victim in this case is Victoria Johnson. She's the mother of the defendant's children. She advised that the defendant was staying at her house for the week, watching the kids while she was at work. At some point, she found multiple conversations on his Instagram with other women. She confronted him and there was an altercation. During the altercation, she was holding their 8-month-old child, initials ZL. That baby is the second victim. While she was holding the child, the defendant punched Miss Johnson in the face and then also punched the baby in the face. It appears that it was possibly unintentional. However, the law is clear that if you intend to punch someone and it hits someone else, that's not an excuse or defense to battery. The police, I'm sorry, at that point, Miss Johnson grabbed a knife and then cut the defendant in self-defense, of course, from being punched in the face and punching their 8-month-old baby in the face. The victim also told police that at this time, the defendant grabbed the gun in his waistband and threatened her with it. And all of this happened in the presence of their other child, who's a 3-year-old, initials SL. The victim then tried to flee with her 2 children, and the defendant obstructed her exit by holding the door closed. And then she tried to call the police, and the defendant confiscated her phone. Miss Johnson ultimately fled to a neighbor's house and called the police. Miss Johnson had a busted lip. The baby also had swollen lips. We have been in touch with Miss Johnson today. I believe she's also on the line, Your Honor. She states that she and the defendant have been together off and on for 4 years. They have 2 children together. The past month, they have been residing at the incident location, which is the victim's apartment. She states that they do have a domestic violence history. This is the first time that she's made a report. She is afraid of the defendant when he has his gun. She confirmed the events in the warrant and stated that there have been no further incidents since this one in May, and the defendant has been staying with her to help with their children. She would like no further violent contact and a provision that he has no firearms. Your Honor, respectfully, given the gravity of what happened here and the injuries, the children that are involved, this is a safety concern for not only Miss Johnson, but the children as well. And especially given Miss Johnson's reliance on him for childcare at this point, I think there's also an especially high risk for intimidating Miss Johnson in this matter. The state would still request absolutely no contact here. On the batteries, the state's requesting a $2,500 surety on each, and then a $1,000 surety on the cruelty charges and the obstructing 911 calls for a total of $8,000 good bond. No contact with the victims and the other child as well. Stay away from the incident location. Enroll in family violence intervention program. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. And Your Honor, I believe Miss Johnson is on the line.
Ms. Johnson, if you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to unmute yourself and I'll have to swear you in.
Hey,
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am. If you raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down. Thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
I was just looking to let you know that I am okay with him being around us. We haven't been arguing or anything like that for the past few months. We actually been co-parents and actually well recently. So I would like him to be around us because I do need help with children.
How old are your children?
1 and 2. Well, one of them will be 1 in September, and the other one he'll be 3.
And you're telling me that this has
Not 3,
happened in
but
the
2.
past? You're telling me that this has happened in the past?
Yes.
Okay, and 2 months is not a long time, okay? You're telling me it hadn't happened for 2 months, but that's just, as far as I'm concerned, just yesterday, all right? You're a grown person. He's a grown person. You got a 1 and a 2-year-old that you all are responsible for. You understand? So I can't have you all, you making the allegations that you're making against him, that you're alleging that he's violent to you. I can't have your children around that. Okay? So I am gonna not have him around you or your kids at this point in time until you all work something out. Mostly for those kids. Those kids are listening and seeing, and you're raising children. All right, thank you for being here, ma'am. Mr. Trejo?
Yes, Judge, we would ask for no further violent contact. If the court is going to instill or rather a stay away order from the address, my client would ask for a one-time law enforcement escort. He did indicate that he can, that if the court does impose the stay away order, that he can stay with family in Decatur. My client is gainfully employed. He works as a forklift operator. He's been doing that for some time. He pays the bills at the house. He pays for the children's daycare. He is an Atlanta native with family here, Judge. He went out of state for university and then moved back once he completed. He indicated to me that he does do some feed the homeless operations through his church. And Judge, he does have a Newton County hold, which would continue to hold him, even if he is able to make bond in this case.
And Your Honor, I'll add that our office did request that this case be upgraded to second-degree cruelty to children and add a charge for false imprisonment, and the DA declined to take that. And I know Your Honor typically doesn't order DVIP at this point, but given the ages of the victims, the state would respectfully request if you would consider a DVIP at this point. Thank you.
And Judge, we would object to a DVIP just because that is a requirement under the statute. If he were to be found guilty or enter a plea later on, we would object to the 24-week course that he would be paying weekly as he's enrolled in it before he's found guilty of this crime.
Okay. For each of the battery charges, it'll be a $500 good bond. For each of the cruelty to children charges, it'll be a $250 good bond. For the obstruction, it'll be a $500 good bond. That makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. At this point, no further contact with Victoria Johnson. Stay away from the Bent Creek address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. I'm not going to keep him away from his kids, but there'll be third-party transfer of any minor children for visitation, and he is to abide by any other court custody arrangements that are that may be made. 1 day anger awareness and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. He has to surrender all weapons that he currently has.
Your Honor, would you consider supervised visitation if you're entertaining custody because one of the victims is one of these children?
Okay, it'll have to be supervised by, it will be supervised visitation by a third party, or to abide by any other court's custody arrangements. All right, no questions. Good luck to you all.
Yes, I got a question. So I'm saying, like, if we do the no contact order, can I just go through the child support way and do it that way and don't have any contact with her rather than the bonds and all this other stuff?
Mr. Leitner, however you work it out, you just cannot at this point in time have any contact with Ms. Johnson whatsoever. No contact means absolutely no contact. No phone contact, no personal contact, no email contact, no social media contact. So if you work it out through a third party, whoever that third party is, then you can see your children and pay their child support, okay?
Yeah.
All right, good luck to you, sir. Mr. Jordan, good afternoon. You have something for me?
Bond for position 5.
I can't hear you, Mr. Jordan.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. What was the bond for the obstructing charge?
500.
500? And did you say did you say one-time law enforcement officer escort to get his belongings?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right.
And Your Honor, this is going to be position number 19, Mr. Mallory.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Mallory. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006199Y with abandonment of dependent child. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Yes, Your Honor. 7 cycles. Last arrest was out of Henry County, September 2nd, 2022, for cruelty in the 3rd degree subsequent conviction and a probation violation. There was no disposition listed for that case, Your Honor. Defendant was sentenced on the first offender April 13th, 2023 for battery family violence, subsequent conviction. Also has a 2022 conviction for battery family violence and simple battery family violence. Recommendation from pretrial is a level 2 and nothing further.
Your Honor, that's my case. He was just released from Rogers State Prison for a felony level battery family violence. He looks like that sentence began in April or March of 2023. I only say that because the application for an abandonment warrant was taken out by the mother of his child, whose name is Amir, in August of 2022. And as you know, abandonment charges are for a 30-day period. So this would be for a 30-day period in August of 2022. Probable cause was found by a court during a hearing, and an order for $300 was put in place. So that is the amount he is supposed to pay to be released from jail. I'm not going to ask for any further bond or condition, Your Honor, given that he literally was just released from prison. Thank you.
$300 purge amount?
Yes.
Judge, on behalf of Mr. Mallory, he has been in custody actually at the Department of Corrections since September of 2022. And I think when the hearing was conducted, he was in prison. He was picked up and brought straight here. So he's not been out at all the last close to 2 years now, Judge. And I would just ask under these circumstances to allow him to be released through UJR. He does have family here. He does have 3 kids. It's the oldest that is involved in the abandonment, Judge. But just give him an opportunity to get back on his feet, be able to work, Judge. So that would be my request, so he can catch up and purge eventually.
Okay, so he doesn't have the $300 at the present time because he's been in custody since this. All right, I mean, I think that's. I think that's.
He was in custody starting in September of 2022. This abandonment application was filed in July of 2022 for the month of August of 2022. So the purge amount being issued by a magistrate court is just for the month of August, that he wasn't in jail at that point. But just for clarification purposes.
Yeah, and I'm not disputing the amounts, Judge. I'm just strictly pointing out that he has been in custody since September, Judge, a month later.
Okay, so you're asking for a UJR is what you're asking for, and give him the opportunity to get a job and pay.
That's correct, Judge. I mean, the purge is still in the books. So if the family somehow can pay the $300, then that's great. But I'm not sure. I mean, I just I don't know if what his financial situation is right this second, other than he's clearly unemployed, has been unemployed for a couple of years.
Okay, it'll be $1,000 UJR through the jail. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
That was $1,000 SOB jail.
Yes.
Next is going to be position number 21, Mr. Marshall, Stephen Marshall.
Good afternoon, Mr. I'm sorry. Which position is this?
21.
21. This is Mr. Stephen Marshall, right?
Yes.
Okay. What we're gonna leave these to the end of the calendar?
Oh, okay. I didn't see the charge. My apologies, Your Honor.
You're fine. I know that there's another Marshall that's.
Yeah, he's gonna be Haddad, you want to waive his presence, correct?
Judge, there's some serious mental health issues with the Mr. Marshall position number 20, Judge, and I will waive. I mean, I haven't been able to talk to my. Either way, Judge, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't want to delay it as far as setting the bond. So I'd like to be heard as far as the bond, Judge.
So have you talked to him about a waiver? I mean,
no, Judge, I have not. But I'm in a difficult position because I don't want to keep putting it off as far as the bond. I really don't think it's going to make a difference in terms of him being able to bond out. I'm not, I mean, he's got an open felony case. I'm not requesting for a UJR under the circumstances. I want to at least get him on track, at least for the SAP calendar. And once I have my social worker interview him, and if there's a competency issue, then we'll put him on the competency calendar. I just cannot put him on the competency calendar now without having the opportunity to lay eyes on him.
Okay, well, can't we just put him on for tomorrow and give
Your
you?
Honor, he's on a mental health floor. Our mental health floor is 3 North. He's combative. I couldn't actually bring him down to court.
No, and that's fine, but I just need for Mr. Haddad to at least try to talk to him to get his consent for a waiver. I don't know if you are, if you can waive his appearance without talking to him, right?
Well, I don't know what the case law says, Judge, but what I mean, in some circumstances, I've done it before. You know, it's back on me. You know, I'm not. You know, if I make the critical professional error, then it's my license.
No. But what would be the problem with putting this off till tomorrow? I mean, I'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, that's fine, Judge. If the court, yeah, I mean that's fine.
At least you know.
That's fine, Judge. That we can reset him for tomorrow, and I'll go out or have my social worker attempt, or whoever actually is working the SAP tomorrow, to go in person to lay eyes on him. So that works.
Okay, I feel more comfortable with that, Mr. Haddad. So we'll
that's fine.
9-3. All right, very good. Thank you.
Your Honor, for situations like this, we do prefer at least one attorney to come out, so we can bring him upstairs to try to talk to that type of defendant.
Okay.
And we'll do that. I think Norris, sounds like Norris wants me to leave my day off and go all the way to the jail today. But joking aside, Judge, yes, that's fine. I mean, we'll reset it for tomorrow. I'll reach out to Mr. Cook and Mr. McLean, make sure one of them goes to see him.
Okay, thank you.
Attempt to see him.
We'll see him. Well, and we'll circle back tomorrow. Okay, who do we have next?
All right, so that will bring us to position number 22, Mr. Mayers.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayers. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006198J with battery and failure to obey a stop sign. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
2 cycles, Your Honor. Last arrest was with the Atlanta Police Department in May 26, 2022 for a DUI. No disposition was listed. Recommendation from pretrial is a level 2. Nothing further.
And that's my case, Your Honor. This happened on September the 1st at about 9 a.m. Police responded to 2105 Southwood Boulevard. There they met with the victim, Matthew Rainey, R-A-I-N-E-Y. He reported that he had met the defendant and invited him over to hang out. The victim was seen to have a visible laceration on the left side of his face. He had a blackened, bruised eye and bruising on his shoulder. He said that while they were hanging out, it became clear that the defendant wanted a different kind of engagement and hangout time, and he asked the defendant to leave multiple times. Eventually, he tried to forcibly push the defendant out of his location, and that's when the defendant punched this young man in the face repeatedly and then left in his gray SUV. The roommate of this young man, Mr. Rainey, was able to identify the defendant because he'd actually dealt with him previously and reported that he had also been not very nice. Police located the defendant. He was traveling at a high rate of speed nearby after being seen circling in the parking lot. A traffic stop was initiated. He was actually watched as he blew through a stop sign when he knew police were following him. He declined to make a statement to police, Your Honor. So you're looking at the battery for visible injury to the face of Mr. Rainey, and then blowing through the stop sign. We're asking for a $3,000 SOB through pretrial level 2. No contact with Mr. Rainey. Stay away from that location at 2105 Southwood Boulevard. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
No objections, Judge.
We did try to reach out to Mr. Rainey. We just haven't had any response yet.
Okay.
The stay away is not an issue, Judge.
Mr. Matthew Rainey is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. All right, for the battery, it'd be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. For the failure to obey a stop sign, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further contact with Mr. Rainey. Stay away from the Southwood Boulevard address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Mayers.
Thank you, Judge.
Welcome.
Next, Your Honor, we're gonna go to position number 24, Mr. Spencer Rickman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rickman. You've been charged in case 24CR006203B with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers and loitering and prowling. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Yes, Your Honor. 2 cycles out of Georgia and 1 cycle out of Nevada. Last arrest was out of Nevada, August 29th, 2022 for larceny. That was a guilty conviction, Your Honor. Also has a 2019 conviction for driving while license suspended and 1 FTA from 2019. Recommendation from pretrial is a level 1. Nothing further.
Your Honor, that's my case. This is an incident that happened overnight from August the 30th into the 31st. Starting around 10:30, report was made at the neighborhood Peachtree Park, which is it encompasses a few different streets. A police officer working an extra job was then flagged down by someone nearby at that location. They were actually doing extra patrols there because of breaking into cars becoming a problem. He spoke to a victim of 25 Park Circle who reported that he'd just called 911, which is why the officer had been notified and then flagged down that someone he didn't know was knocking on his front door. He was looking for a friend, he said, but couldn't provide any other information. Later that same evening, officers were called again to the same location, specifically to 833 Martina Drive, where Mrs. Rode, R-O-D-E, first name Lucia, L-U-C-I-A, reported that someone had been trying to make entry into the residence, knocking on multiple doors. Another resident of 594 Martina Drive reported that they had seen the young man in front of you, Mr. Rickman, in the backyard of his location. When police got to 833, at the latest point of the evening, they actually observed the defendant sitting in a stairway that goes into a basement entryway. And they directed him to stop and talk. He disobeyed those commands and then went and was observed actually trying to make entry into unit 833, pulling on the handles and looking in the door. He was observed to have what police indicated were physical manifestations of intoxication or being under the influence of some substance. He did not live at the location and had no reason to be there. This was 10:30 and then at 11 and 12 o'clock at night, after midnight into the morning. When police went to handcuff him, he tensed up, he resisted, he used his arms to pull away from Officer Brooks, and that's the basis for the obstruction, Your Honor. We'd ask for a $1,000 SOB through pretrial level 1. Stay away from the location. That's the Peachtree Park neighborhood, specifically Martina Drive. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and perhaps a SAET, if that is appropriate, based on defense counsel input. Thank you.
Your Honor, we do not have an objection as to the recommendation other than the SAT. I did not get any indication, at least at this time, that there's an issue. There may have been a couple of days ago, Judge, but he does have family. He lives in Lawrenceville, Judge. I think his dad lives with his dad, although I'm not 100% sure about that. But in any event, due to the nature of the charge and his lack of serious criminal history, I would ask the court to follow the recommendation of SOR.
So he's not residentially challenged?
No, Judge. No, he is not.
Okay. It'll be a $500 signature bond through pretrial level 1 on each charge. Makes for a total of $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from the Peachtree Park neighborhood, particularly that, I believe, Martine Drive, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Rickman.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Next, we have position number 27, Mr. Roy Sally.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sally. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006206F with simple battery and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Yes, Your Honor. 4 cycles with arrests out of Georgia, DC, and Arizona. The last arrest was out of Fulton County, March 8th, 2024, for theft by shoplifting. He does appear to be on probation out of Clayton County for 3 counts of aggravated battery and battery. Sentenced December 6, 2022 to 7 years probation. Recommendation from pretrial, Your Honor, is a UJR jail and nothing further.
Your Honor, this is an incident from the 30th of August at 5 p.m. Police were flagged down by an employee at the CVS at 235 Peachtree Street. It was reported that the defendant struck someone in the face, an actual other customer at the CVS. He was seen walking nearby. Officers directed him to stop and talk. He looked at police and then turned around and walked the other way. When officers caught up to him and tried to detain him, he pulled away and refused to turn around. They actually had to deploy tasers. Officer Matthew Gordon deployed his taser after the defendant refused to get up off the ground and was physically resisting. The victim, Freyana Bostic, Miss Bostic was the CVS employee. She was a witness. This is also caught on surveillance. The victim's name is Joseph Martel, Martel. He reported that he'd been standing at the counter talking to the clerk, and the defendant was there as well and started to think that someone was talking about him. And when he tried to explain to the defendant that he was misunderstanding what had just happened, the defendant made verbal threats to harm him and then struck him in the jaw, and it put him to the ground, one hit to the ground. That, again, was captured on surveillance. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety bond, Your Honor. He's on probation for aggravated battery out of Clayton County. We'd ask for no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and to stay away from that CVS location at 235 Peachtree Street. Thank you.
John?
Your Honor, on behalf of my client, he's 32 years of age, Judge. He does have a stable residence. He's currently unemployed, although he informs me that he's done a couple of years of college. I would just ask the court to follow the pretrial services recommendation. I can't speak as far as his history, and I know he does not have a hold right now from Clayton County, but that would be the request. I think there's a little bit more to it as far as what transpired at CVS, but in any event, that's the request of the defense, Judge.
All right, for the simple battery, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. The obstruction, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 1 day anger awareness. No further contact with Joseph Martel. Stay away from the CVS on Peachtree Street, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Sally.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 28, Mr. Joseph Smith.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006207A with 2 counts of simple battery family violence, 1 count of battery family violence, and 1 count of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Yes, Your Honor. 1 arrest from out of Alabama, April 1st, 1996 for domestic violence. Recommendation from pretrial is a UJR jail. Nothing further.
Your Honor, this is an incident that occurred at a hotel on August the 31st. We did try to get in touch with Mrs. Wendy Smith and were not able to get her on the phone. I do see she has joined us on the Zoom, so if you might call for her after I give you just a few brief points of information. The police were called because the defendant was intoxicated and behaving violently. On scene, they spoke with Wendy, his wife, who reported that she'd been grabbed by the neck by the defendant. He was seen, his son, who is the victim of the battery, in this case, Your Honor, Asher, is 16, maybe 2013 date of birth, young, was seen to have a puncture wound, redness and swelling on his back from being shoved into the corner of the dresser. And his daughter was shoved into a door frame at the location. The three individuals on scene, his family reported that he was intoxicated and that he was being belligerent and violent. The defendant had passed out and was asleep when police made contact with him. They actually had to get the hotel staff to let them into the room. The victim, the mom and her children hid in the bathroom until they were able to escape the room. The defendant passed out, and once police made contact with him, I don't think he had much to say, Your Honor. We would ask for a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. We'd also ask for no contact. And this is an incident location, I believe, is a hotel, but we can get some more information from Mrs. Smith if you'd like. We'd ask for no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Ms. Smith, I see you on the line. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. If you'll raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
Greg and I have been together for 21 years. He's never acted like this before. He's never been violent to myself or the children before. I do feel safe around him. I do think he needs help with his alcohol. So I have already started looking at rehab facilities. So my wish is that we do continue to have contact with him. However, I will take him to a rehab facility. I've already called places today to understand the process and reached out to my insurance company. But with it being a holiday, they're obviously not in. So my thoughts were I'll take him to a hotel today to stay there. And then tomorrow I will take him to a rehab location. I've found 2 so far.
Okay.
The age of the children, the little boy who is the victim of the battery is 11, and his sister, the daughter of these 2, is 15, I believe. Is that correct,
14.
Ms. Smith? 14.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And you all live in Alabama?
No, sir. We live in Dawsonville, Georgia.
Okay.
That other charge was before I knew him.
Where was this incident?
It was in Alpharetta at a hotel.
And what were you doing in Alpharetta?
We were at the Stone Temple Pilots concert at Ameris Bank.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Smith. I appreciate you being here this afternoon. Mr. Haddad?
Your Honor, no objection as far as the signature bond through pretrial services. I would ask there'll be no violent contact. I actually got hold of Ms. Smith earlier, and she related to me exactly what she just told the court. She's trying to basically just going to drive him to a place to address his issues, Judge. But she did indicate she wanted to have contact with him and at least the kids. So I would ask the court to follow that suggestion.
Okay, for each charge, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with Ms. Wendy Smith or with the 2 minor children. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you both, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor. He had 2 charges of cruelty to children. Was one of them NOD?
Yes, one of them has a NOD.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Next is going to be position number 31, Mr. Isaac Thomas.
Okay. Mr. Thomas, good afternoon. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006210J with simple battery family violence and criminal trespass family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
19 cycles. The last arrest was May 19th, 2022 out of DeKalb County for battery family violence and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. No disposition was listed, Your Honor, that appears to be an an open case. There's also an FTA hold out of DeKalb County. In addition, there are convictions from 2014 for possession of marijuana less than an ounce, 2017, simple battery against a person 65 years or older, 2018 conviction for theft by taking. Recommendation from pretrial, Your Honor, is a level 3 and nothing further.
Your Honor, this is my case. This is an incident from the 31st, 2135 Godby Road in College Park. Police were called and noted in the report that they'd been to the location on numerous occasions for damage to property similar to this. The victim in this case is the live-in sister of this defendant. Her name is Conethia Thomas, Coanethia. She's 42. We've been in contact with her today. Basically, he damaged a mirror, caused an injury to himself when he broke the mirror on the wall and tried to take a cell phone from someone else in the home. He struck the wall multiple times while upset. And then when his sister tried to talk to him as he was in police custody in front of police officers, he spat in her face. The 2017 simple battery conviction on someone older than 65, as well as a 2011 battery family violence conviction that this gentleman has, is a concern. We did speak to Mrs. Thomas. She says that he has a diagnosis and he needs to be on medication. And so it seems like that might be the issue. She's honest and says that there is domestic violence history in the past, but he hadn't been arrested based on exchanges with her in the past. She does not want him to return to the location, Your Honor. If you could sound for Mrs. Thomas, you can get some more information from her. But at this point, the state would be asking for no contact. We'd ask for $1,000 SOB through pretrial. I think they said level 1. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, to take medications as prescribed, unless, of course, he needs an evaluation and some support with that, and we'd be on board with that as well. But to stay away and have no contact, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Dodd?
Your Honor, under the circumstances, defense will consent to the recommendation. I would just ask a one-time police escort for Mr. Thomas to retrieve his belongings, and he'll just have to make arrangements to live. He also has a brother, Judge, but there's no need to live with his sister anymore.
Okay. For the simple battery, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrials. My understanding, pretrial's recommendation is level 3, so it'll be level 3. $1,000 signature bond through pretrial for the criminal trespass makes level 3, makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. No further contact with Miss Conethia Thomas. Stay away from the Godby Road address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond, but he is to remain on any prescription medication that he is currently prescribed. Okay. All right, Mr. Thomas. Good luck to you, sir.
Wait for the next calendar to come get you. Yeah, we'll have to see. Next is going to be position number 33, and that's going to be Michael Walters. Good afternoon, y'all.
Good afternoon, Mr. Waters. Let's see, you've been charged in case 24 CR 006214G with affray and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history?
5 cycles. Last arrest was September 23rd, 2019 out of Gwinnett County for a probation violation. A 2017 conviction for driving without a valid license, and a 2018 conviction, a local ordinance charge. It was reduced from possession of marijuana. There does appear to be a probation violation hold out of McDonough, Georgia. Recommendation from pretrial is a level 1. Nothing further.
And Your Honor, this is a case from the 31st of August at about 4:50 a.m. Police were called to the area of 375 Lucky Street Northwest. That's the Suite Lounge. 2 males were observed actually fighting in the intersection in the street and impeding traffic. officers were able to break them up. Unfortunately, the other individual who was fighting besides the defendant in front of you was not identified and left before police could get a chance to talk to him. The defendant had actually taken the wallet of the other individual, and when police detained Mr. Waters, they were able to retrieve the other individual's wallet, tossed it to him, and that's when he fled. So Mr. Waters is not charged with an assault on anyone specifically or criminal trespass for possessing or interfering with the possession of anyone's property, because we can't actually identify the person he was fighting in the street with. So we would be asking for $1,000 SOB through pretrial level that was requested or suggested, Your Honor. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Stay away from the Sweet Lounge at 375 Lucky Street Northwest. Thank you.
No objections, Judge.
Okay, so for each count, it'll be a $500 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from the Sweet Lounge on Lucky Street, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Waters.
Thank y'all. Enjoy y'all holiday.
You do the same, sir.
Next is going to be position number 34, Ms. Watson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Watson. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006213Y with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
4 cycles. The last arrest was out of DeKalb County, July 24th, 2020, for purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, or sale of marijuana. He was sentenced on that case March 14th, 2024 to 3 years probation. There does appear to be a 2018 conviction for possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce and a 2019 conviction for possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce and criminal trespass. Recommendation from pretrial, Your Honor, is a level 1 and nothing further.
Your Honor, this is an incident that occurred at 2 a.m. in front of the Vortex at 438 Moreland. Police responded to the location on a call made by bystanders. Witnesses on scene as well as security reported that at the location, the victim in this case, who's joined us on Zoom, I believe, Mrs. Asiana Ware, she was inside a vehicle, and the defendant, while standing outside of the vehicle, kept grabbing her, trying to remove her from the car. Video footage was actually seen by police of that repeated attempt to remove her from the vehicle. And then on the scene, the defendant made an admission to his behavior. It's also reported that they share a child. We spoke to Ms. Ware. She said that she and the defendant have been together for a few years and that they don't have any history that is domestic violence related. She's not afraid. But she also said she doesn't remember anything about this situation. So we'd be asking to follow pretrial's recommendation with a signature bond through pretrial level 1, no violent contact, Your Honor. We'd ask for some anger awareness class and a surety. No, SOB through pretrial. I apologize. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. I'm going to stop now.
Okay, Ms. Ware, I believe that's you there. If you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court, ma'am?
I just want to say that I don't feel the need to do no contact. He does help me with my daughter, and I'm not afraid of him, and that's it.
Has this ever happened before?
No.
Okay, and do you all live together?
No.
Okay. All right, well, we appreciate you being here this afternoon, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
No objections, Judge, to the recommendation.
All right, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Ware, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Watson.
Next, Your Honor, we got position number 32, Mr. Antonio Warner. Warner. Pay attention.
Good afternoon, Mr. Warner. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006215H with criminal trespass. Is there a history?
5 cycles. The last arrest was January 10th, 2018 for aggravated assault and obtaining, procuring, or giving an inmate prohibited item without authorization out of Columbia County. Appears to be on probation for that case, Your Honor. Sentenced in 2019, 5 years confinement and 5 years probation. In addition, there are convictions from 2006 for willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and 2007 for manufacturing, sale, distribution of drugs. Recommendation from pretrial is a level 2 and nothing further to add.
Thank you.
Your Honor, this is an incident that occurred on the 1st of September at about 9:30 a.m. Police were called to 809 Ambient Way. The owner of that property, Cole, C-O-L-E, Linton, L-I-N-T-O-N, called police and reported what he thought was a burglary in progress. He saw on his Ring camera the defendant jump over the fence and into his backyard and approach the door and knock on the window of the residence. When police arrived, they found the defendant, actually they heard the defendant first yell, "Don't shoot me." And then they found the defendant laying down on the ground in the backyard. So he hadn't actually made any entry into the home. He was arrested for criminal trespass, Your Honor. He's got no reason to be there. He doesn't know Mr. Linton. That's not his home. He wasn't invited there. We'd ask for $1,000 SOB through pretrial level 2 as recommended. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond, and to stay away from that address at 809 Ambient Way. Thank you.
Mr. Linton is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Any objection to any of that, Mr. Haddad?
No, Judge.
$1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Stay away from the Ambient Way address. No further contact with Mr. Linton, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Warner.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next is gonna be position number 36, Mr. Kenneth Wright Jr.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Wright. You've been charged in case 24 CR 006211F with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
No, Your Honor. First arrest. Recommendation is a level 1.
Your Honor, this is an incident that occurred on the 31st, August the 31st at about 2:30 a.m. Mr. Wright is 21 years old, I believe. Police were called to 3107 Donald Lee Hollowell. Turns out this was an incident that occurred in the car, so they located the parties shortly thereafter nearby, and they pulled over to the side of the road. The driver was this gentleman's mom. Her name is Lolita Hooten, H-O-O-T-E-N. He and his little brother, who is a minor, the victim in this case, 16-year-old Cameron, were in the back seat of the vehicle as mom drove. She said that while she was driving, they started to argue, and the defendant, Mr. Wright, began striking the 16-year-old in the face multiple times in the back of the car. She had to intervene to stop the assault. She reported that her son, Mr. Wright, the 21-year-old, had been drinking, and the victim, Cameron, his little brother, said he wasn't clear at all why the assault had just occurred. It was a surprise. Medical was arriving and called to the scene to check out the child who had obvious bruising, but Lolita said that that was not needed and they were going to leave. I do see that this is the first time that this young man has been arrested. We have tried to make contact with this family to talk to them a little bit more about the dynamics here. I do see that the address that Mr. Wright lives at is not the same address as his little brother and his mom, I believe, if we could verify. But we would be asking for a pretrial, some kind of supervision, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, absolutely no contact with the victim, and stay away from that location, stay away from their home, which is 3327 Cawing Way, C-A-W-I-N-G, I believe. That's in Douglasville.
Okay.
Thank
you. Ms. Hooten is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Mr. Haddad.
Your Honor, I've not been able to reach the mother for confirmation one way or another. And if I can just double check with Mr. Wright, if I can ask him, my understanding is they actually all live together. Which is why I was gonna ask for a no violent contact, due to the fact that even from the mom, this seemed to be out of the ordinary. Don't know what prompted it, as everyone says. My client is 21 years of age, Judge, currently unemployed. So that would be my request. As far as a pretrial level one is I think it's a great suggestion. I just was going to ask for a no further violent contact, but we can ask Mr. Wright. Do you live with your mom and brother?
No, sometimes I be staying with my sister, but sometimes I go over to my mom's house.
Okay. Well, Judge, in light of that, and since the state has not been able to make contact, a stay away might be a good idea. And if we need to change it once he's out, I can always file a motion to and modify the bond conditions.
Okay.
I would just ask for one trip back with the assistance of law enforcement in the event that he has some, overnight type belongings that he needs to get from the home.
Okay. So it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 day anger awareness. At this point in time, no further contact with Cameron. Do you know his last name, Miss Allen?
It's Hooten, Hooten.
Okay, with Cameron Hooten, stay away from the residential address. He can have a one-time police court escort if he needs it to get any belongings, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. And let's see, Mr. Jordan, did you get that address? With me, Mr. Jordan?
It was 3327 Clawing Walkway, Douglasville, Georgia.
Is that right, Miss Allen?
Yeah, and I'm going to pull it up again. It's 3327 Clawing, like claw, CLAWING.
Okay.
Clawing Walkway.
Walkway.
That is difficult to say. I apologize.
Okay. All right.
I got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Good luck to you, Mr. Wright.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Give me 1 minute, John.
Okay.
Yo, y'all gotta quiet it down back there. Quiet it down.
So we've got some cases that I'm not sure if are you all requesting that we go off of the YouTube for the next few?
Yes, 3 of them, Your Honor.
Okay, who do we have here?
This is Mr. David Craig, position number